Hi, and welcome to this special edition of the Sovereign AI Industry Advisor, where we take a look at the recently announced AI for All strategy announced by Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney on Thursday, June the 4th. We'll cover the goals of the strategy, take a look at the overall components of it, look at it from a sovereignty perspective, examine some of the key initiatives that they've committed to, and conclude with insights. So we're going to analyze it through a framework that I've used in working with public agencies. The first thing to note of this sovereign AI strategy are the key goals. By 2031, these are the things that they want to achieve. Now, I'm not going to focus on all of them, but they will be covered throughout the following 6 slides. But to highlight a few of them, certainly the measurable ones, they want to improve Canada's adoption rate. Businesses of using AI, it's really quite low right now at 12%. Create jobs for youth, create jobs throughout specific sectors, create a supercomputer and AI infrastructure for businesses and the government. What's not listed sometimes is this new privacy legislation that everybody's hoping that they'll come out with. Now, I've attempted to put on one slide the key components of an AI strategy, the best practices, which typically is composed of some type of overall arching vision statement, strategic initiatives, guiding AI principles, and value drivers. Now, there's no official vision statement, but typically when asked about the AI strategy, the sovereign AI strategy, the first words that coming out of the AI minister or the prime minister will typically be that AI really must be for all. And so it is a good title. So no big surprise there on the vision statement. The strategic initiatives I'll cover more in detail, and the federal government calls these pillars. But this is kind of positions and frames all the investments in AI. Foundational AI principles. I've seen many kind of variants of it, but the latest one, at least delivered yesterday by Mark Carney, is that there's 3 key principles that guide the introduction, the implementation of AI. Trust, opportunity, and sovereignty. I would actually position sovereignty as a value driver as well. I get it, why you want to really call it out here as a principle, but it's also a key value driver. Now, they haven't really stated ever kind of in a concise manner what are the key value drivers, but I'll talk about that. And here are some examples from previous quotes from the Prime Minister and the AI Minister of the value that they're hoping to drive with the sovereign AI strategy. This is just a more detailed view of the strategic initiatives, what they call pillars. First and foremost is to safeguard users, Canadians are using this technology. A lot of concerns about AI, and especially things with like deep fakes. The second one, empowering Canadians. They want to know that AI can be used and will be used to educate people and to provide and drive jobs. And to power AI adoption, Canada's identified specific sectors. They want to accelerate the adoption of AI. The foundation of sovereign AI refers to their compute infrastructure, as well as other sovereign components that we'll talk about, which includes talent, the energy infrastructure, regulations, etc. Scale and Canadian champions, this is how they refer to as kind of key areas that they want to grow and accelerate. And then finally, partnerships. As Mark Carney mentioned in his Davos speech, that the strategy of middle countries should be to seek out like-minded democracies to go forth, because this is a tall task, and there is outside of the US and China, it's difficult for any one country to do everything when it comes to AI. Now, this is what we propose as kind of the core components of any AI sovereignty strategy here. And this is being used not just for governments and nations, but also for commercial enterprises. But the focus of this talk will be for using it for a nation. So the components, won't go into too much detail, but at the core, you want data sovereignty. You want a strategy for focusing on particular sectors in a nation. You want to introduce, I would say, regulations. It doesn't all have to be legislated, but regulations where you have jurisdiction to govern the safe use of AI. Talent, so that you have people to develop and maintain and to attract talent. And finally, the technology infrastructure for AI, meaning the AI technology stack. And the infrastructure refers to the energy grid that will be required. So when we map what the AI for all strategy is to our framework for sovereign AI strategy, Canada fully acknowledges that there's work to be done with regards to regulations, and this is not an easy task. I know there's a lot of critics out there, especially political parties, that are saying, hey, well, why isn't there regulations there? It is not easy. It's one of the hardest things to do, and when you introduce this, how are you going to enforce it? And the EU AI Act is finding that firsthand right now. So this is an area that we'll be watching. My guess is, what I'm seeing is, it won't be as grand as the EU AI Act. It'll be more a sector specific, more manageable. So hopefully that'll come out in the near term. Data sovereignty, very important to have that. And we do have a framework at the federal level right now that goes beyond best practices of data residency, but includes and insists upon data that we have jurisdictional control. Industrial sovereignty, so the AI for all strategy has identified 5 key industries, and they are in no particular order: health and life sciences, energy and natural resources, agriculture, manufacturing, robotics, and transportation. Lots of funding for these industries, as well as funding that targets startups, small and medium-sized businesses. Talent sovereignty, this is just a couple of things that were highlighted. There is more to ensure to attract talent. So Canada has 3 national AI institutes, lots of skills and subject matter experts there that are leveraged: the Vector Institute in Toronto, Amy in Edmonton, and Mila in Montreal, as well as fundings to hire more world-class AI researchers. The baseline currently sits at roughly 130, part of the Canada CFAR AI organization, and they want to take it to close to 200. And then when it comes to AI technology and energy infrastructure, a lot of this was announced prior to the AI for all strategy, but this is where large amounts of the funding goes to build that sovereign AI compute platform and to pave the way to build the energy grid that's going to be required to power these AI data centers. So when we take a look at the key sovereign AI initiatives of Canada's AI for all strategy, a lot of the funding, as I mentioned before, is focused on infrastructure. And the Compute Access Fund was announced $700 million. This is in addition to the already $300 million that they announced earlier this year. So that takes it to $1 billion. So we're talking huge amounts of funding here. As I mentioned before, as part of their industrial strategy is to focus on key sectors. There are three $500 million funds here focused on small, medium-sized businesses and startups and certain regions of the country. And there's also the Canadian AI Safety Institute is receiving $50 million worth of funding to focus on AI risk management programs, which includes a voluntary program to check AI products to ensure that they're safe to use, to promote watermarking and provenance standards. Provenance, if you're not familiar with that term, it's a term we use to have metadata that tracks the origin of data and all the changes made to it. It's a great thing to have to kind of expose deep fakes. And then finally, I should mention the Canadian AI Safety Institute is going to transition to a new role. So it's mainly before more of a kind of a think tank, and now it's going to be much more active, and they're going to help test these models as they come out there for their safe usage. And then finally, there was a lot of focus on this national AI literacy program. So it's free education for people to be delivered at libraries and senior centers, and they're going to give out these AI learning kits. They're proposing AI agents for every post-secondary student, and they're going to educate teachers too to how to bring in AI into the classroom for K-12. So if we step back and take a look at the AI for all strategy, the good news is it's a very comprehensive strategy that focuses on all the key components, which includes the people, the processes, and the technology and the underlying energy infrastructure involved. And in Canada, one of our key strengths is we have a lot of educated people, a lot of highly skilled people in AI. Now, the weaknesses and challenges that we have is, people just haven't gone on board with AI. We have very low adoption. And that could be from many reasons. There's still a lot of concerns and I would say fear with this technology, and that needs to be addressed. And that's where I think the literacy program will really help. And regulations and the federal government fully acknowledges that yes, what's there today is not sufficient. It's out of date, and they're going to introduce regulations here. And again, easy to criticize. I sympathize. This is not an easy task to do. So recommendations going forward, I think to address the people concerns first, which is the fear and risk of using AI. So to introduce AI risk management programs, to accelerate the adoption, to educate people is all very important, and probably the most critical things to do are those things. The third bullet here on the technology, that's actually the easy part. Although it's quite challenging and there's not a lot of skills to do high performance compute with AI, but we do know who those people are and the organizations that do that. That's a much more straightforward exercise. So getting people on board the AI train so that we can steer it and guide it for Canada's benefit by educating people, by addressing the fears, by introducing those programs to address the concerns with AI will be the big challenge. So that's it. I want to thank my colleagues at Sci-Fex AI and Infotech, and if you have any questions and want to go more in depth on this AI for all strategy, please feel free to contact me. Thanks, and I'll be posting a link as well to a text version of this. See you again soon. Bye.